This is called Summary Report, and Summary Report is designed to be able to quickly and easily share data with key stakeholders, right? So here, this is just an example of a typical consumer test. Here you can see, for example, we have our 6 products. We have a total of 149 people that evaluated those products. And we're getting our mean scores and our post-hoc lettering. We also here have our Cochrane's Q running on our just about right scores. And you can see that here, right? That very typical consumer test. So what I've done here is I've gone ahead and added this summary analysis, and I'm going to show you how to actually add the summary analysis in a second. But first I wanted to show you one, and then I'll show you how to create a new summary analysis, how you can copy a summary analysis, etc. Okay, so I'm just going to click down here in the summary analyses. And you can see what happens when you create a summary analysis is Reggie's going to automatically pull in the information from your project. What's really cool about this is you can actually create it before your test has ever even run. Okay, so you can see here cards are created automatically. Again, I'm going to show you how to actually create one in a second. I want to show you what the output is first. So here's the project information. So it's going to pull information from that very first page that you fill out when you fill out a project, right? So the name, the description, all of that information here. It's going to pull in your sample information as well. So again, the second step where you put in your sample information is automatically pulled in as well. If you have sample images attached to each sample, it's going to automatically pull in that information for you as well here. And then I chose to have an overall grade. So this allows you to grade the samples. So for example, you can put pass or fail, or you can put additional information, like maybe Edie's was your control product. And you can do that here, and you can set the colors for pass or fail. And you can see that here. So for example, Breyer's passed, Edie's was control, and Grader's failed. You can input text about the results. So here I put in some conclusions and recommendations. I put a big note that the data is for simulation purposes only, does not represent actual product results. This is just a dummy test. This data is not real, right? Some conclusions, some recommendations. And then Reggie is going to automatically group like questions together. So for example, these are all the interval questions. It's going to tell you if you have a significant difference. And then here it's putting the post-hoc scores, the post-hoc lettering along with the mean score values, right? And again, I can choose, there's this little cogwheel, and I can turn on thresholds for automatically coloring those cells as well. And I can even add notes. Right, so here Breyer's was the only product to achieve the 7.0 benchmark. Okay. Below that, it's going to group my just about right scores, and it's going to take top 2 box, bottom 2 box, and just about right, and it's going to break that information out here. And again, you can see I can set settings, and I can set different settings for middle box versus top 2 and bottom 2 box. So I've chosen to color the middle box above 65% green, and above 25% for top 2, bottom 2 box red. And I can do that here as well, right? And then it's going to automatically color those cells depending on what you want to do. All right. Below that is penalty analysis. Again, I chose to color, again, you have more settings. I chose to color everything above a 0.4. Also on this card, what you can do is you can choose to include your penalty scatter plot below, and that's going to give you your scatter plot information here. So for example, on Breyer's, you can see here there's nothing in that critical corner, whereas on Tillamook it was too hard, not sweet enough is really close, as is texture too soft and vanilla flavor too strong, right? And so you can include all of that information here. Okay, so I have this whole report, and then I have my demographics, and my demographics are here at the end for me. And they're just put into this individual sheet. So up at the top, you'll see we have a few other things. You can collapse all of these and it shrinks down the size of the cell, and then you can move these around. So you can change the order of these. So if I hover over, I can easily change the order. That's the nice thing about collapsing them. Yes, for those of you who are asking, we will bring this to the survey designer, I promise, at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future, right? And then you can expand these all back out again. You'll see this share tab. This is what I think the coolest part of the feature is you can actually create a link that you can then share with people inside or outside of RegAid. That individual does not need to have access to RegAid. They can literally just add the link, copy the URL, and you can click directly and paste in the URL here. And you'll see that that link is going to be non-editable, and it's going to show your entire report here. You can share this report before collecting data. The individual can have this open, and every 2.5 minutes, RegAid will update the data automatically into the report. Okay, so this is a live document that you can share with your clients. I know we have some people here who share, who have a lot of external clients. You can absolutely share this with them. It also works with internal clients as well. Again, the person does not have to have access to RegAid in order to be able to see this report. You can also kill that link if you need to. You can delete the link, and the link will no longer be active. Okay, so that's what the report actually looks like here. So I'm going to go ahead, and I just have this other window open. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create this, right? So the first thing I want to do is click this Add Analyses button. Again, this is the same basic data, except for this one has some additional interval scales, right? So overall aroma liking, overall flavor liking, etc. So from here, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click this Add Analyses button. You'll see in this analyses type, I can click the drop down and click on Summary here. And I have some options. I can copy existing reports. I can name my report. We'll call this one New Vanilla. And I'm going to click this New button. Okay, so let's click New. It's going to give me a preview of what's going to happen. So for project information, I have 6 form fields. I have 12 form fields in my sample information, 6 interval questions, 5 just about right questions, and 5 penalty analysis questions. Okay, click Submit. And RegAid is going to build out my entire summary report for me. Okay, this is new from scratch, right? And you'll see there's no colors. There's no cleaning up of any of this information that doesn't exist. So it's a new from scratch report that you can go in and start adding and setting up your thresholds. Okay. Again, nothing is here from my previous test, all brand new. In this case, though, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add another analyses, and I'm going to do a summary, and I'm going to copy my vanilla. So I don't see it in my list, so I'm going to go ahead and copy vanilla ice cream. Let's look for it. And it's this one here, this 2 questionnaires. So let's go ahead and click it. And it's going to give me information here again about my report. Now you'll see in this case, I have a lot more information that I'm pulling in. Now there were no demographics, so you see there's no X here. So it's not going to pull in that information for me. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click Submit. And you'll see it's going to pull in all of my information. Here's my sample images. I do have to reset the ratings, but look, I chose to pull in my notes. So my notes are automatically here, which is kind of nice. I can just go in and change my notes if I want to. That was an option. I can choose to pull in my notes or not. But here, the real advantage is that all of my benchmarks are already set, right? So I don't have to go back into each card and set each one of those benchmarks for each card that you see here. They're already set. I can tweak them if I want to. I don't have to. But that here is where you really get that speed increase of creating that new report. And you may have different benchmarks for different products. Well, maybe you want to create a different benchmark report for different sets of products. And again, you can do that here. They're all automatically colored the way that I like these reports colored for just about right scores and my interval scales. And again, that's going to pull open. It's going to automatically have all my information. If I click share, this is going to be a completely new link share. Okay. A couple of other things, I can blind my samples. So if I blind my samples, it numbers them with the sample identifier from the report. Okay, so this is not the 3-digit code. This is the sample identifier when you first set up your samples, right? So if you have a client, you can tell them their sample is number 3, right? And you could send it to the same person. Now you do need to be careful if you have, for example, images, you may want to get rid of that, right? But you can blind your samples. An executive summary actually really cleans up the report here. And so you'll see it actually removes all of the actual detailed project information, and it just keeps the grade, the conclusions and recommendations, and any project or sample information here as well. Okay. A lot of this information is controlled by your question type. So it's very important to make sure that your questions have the correct reporting type prior to running your summary analyses, because it groups all of the information automatically based on the type of question that it is. So a good key point here is to go into the questions, make sure you have the reporting type set correctly prior to creating that summary report. It'll save you from having to go in and do that do that manually on your end. A couple of other things, we plan on expanding the summary analyses over the next several months. We do have a few things that we need to finish at the end of this year and beginning of next year. So right now we're working on turf analysis, which should be done in the next week or two. Max diff, which we're hoping to have on the roughly same timeline, maybe a few weeks. It's a little more complicated. And CATA analyses, so correspondence analyses and CATA penalty analyses will be added in as well. And then we're working on some internal features that we need to get done by the end of this year. And then we're actually switching RegAid from AWS to Microsoft Azure early next year, and then we'll continue to add to this summary report. We plan to make this a living document that we continue to add to, where you'll be able to, for example, add custom charts or automated charts right to that system. And that's more of a long-term goal, to continue to have this grow with RegAid. And we do plan on continuing to add to this over time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to stop the recording, and then feel free to ask questions. I was never able to mute everybody, so feel free to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer.